It's rainy today, but there are signs of spring for sure. It's podcast day. It's podcast day. Welcome in, friends. Welcome back, dear friends. My name is Mars, and you are welcome here on the heyBrownBerry YouTube channel. This is my little corner of the internet where I chronicle my making. I decided to share with you something that I just did yesterday. Different things inspire me to turn on the camera and share, and this was something a bit new for me. I took a class in hand sewing. If you've joined me previously, you know that there are things that I would like to be better at, and sewing is one of those things. I've done a good bit of sewing for project bags, so I'm very familiar with working a sewing machine, but I haven't done much in the way of hand stitching other than sewing on buttons or repairing things. I'm pretty comfortable with a needle and thread in terms of, manipulating it and how to do small things. But to sew on lengths of fabric is something very new to me. I took a class online yesterday with Tatter. Tatter is a company that I believe is based out of New York, and I will link the Tatter website below because this is my second or third virtual event that I have signed on for with them, and it's been fantastic every time. The hand sewing class was no exception. Our teacher was Sarah. I will also include Sarah's information, and she did an excellent job of teaching us some of the starter basics. She said at the beginning of the class that the class was intended for folks who had maybe never even threaded a needle before. And even though I have done that, I really wanted to get a foundation for hand stitching. I'm quickly going to give credit to Beth of the Fat Squirrel podcast. If you've been here, you know I'm a fan of Beth. Beth, if you're watching, thank you for all the ways in which you inspire my making. I saw on her podcast some information. She was sharing some information, as she does, about a book that she was reading on hand stitching. And I talked a little bit about how it really struck me that she outlined some of the advantages of hand stitching, like portability. And there were just some really good points in there. I will link the episode that I'm referring to so that you can kind of get a richer experience with Beth and that talk about hand sewing. But that led to me just deciding, yes, this is something I would like to pursue, and subsequently led to me signing on for this class with Sarah. So you'll see in the video that I'm sharing that, as she said, we learned how to wax our thread. We used a linen thread, and we learned how to thread our needle. She gave a really good preliminary talk about tools and why you might choose certain types of thread for the fabric that you're going to stitch, and just some of the little accessories and notions that are helpful for hand sewing. And it was such a great experience. A friend and I took this class together, meaning we both decided to sign on for it and take it on the same day. And I love doing things with friends in my close circle because it just expands the experience. And so we had a chance to reflect on what we loved about the class. Sarah taught us 3 different stitches: a running stitch, a fell stitch, and a back stitch. And I learned through the class that stitches can be referred to quite differently depending on their application and maybe even where the reference is coming from. So I worked on some linen that I had purchased from Etsy in a bundle a while back. And let me just say, I know that I am this much into hand sewing, but I love stitching on linen. I love stitching with linen thread. We learned that it makes sense to wax linen thread. You don't have to wax all your sewing threads, but for linen, it makes sense to wax it. And the combination of linens for thread and fabric were just, I really enjoyed it. That's the best thing I can say, is that even though it was somewhat of a new experience to sit patiently and make fine stitches, I just had such a good time doing it. I credit the teacher, and I'm grateful for the mindset that I was in, because being a beginner can be very challenging. Have you learned a new skill recently? Have you tried something very new to you lately? I would love to hear what that experience is like for you. I know some people who dive into new things and gather skills with great enthusiasm, and they are totally okay with how you can kind of get knocked down early on in a learning process. And then there are others like me who sometimes struggle with just not being good at something right from the start. And I know that about myself. It doesn't keep me from learning. It's just something I acknowledge. It's who I am. And I would love to know how it is for you when you first take on a skill. Are you the type that just dives in and you know that the iterations and the do-overs are going to come with the experience? Or do you kind of struggle through that first part until you get those skills locked in? So with hand sewing, I anticipate there will be a lot of practice before I feel comfortable. And our teacher acknowledged that right off the bat, which I so appreciated. She just was very candid about the fact that if you're just starting this, it's going to feel awkward. Even the positioning of your body and where your hands go and the direction you pull the thread can be so awkward if you're just trying it for the first time, or even your third or 50th time. It takes practice and repeating the motions to get that muscle memory. If I think about myself as a knitter now, there are so many things that I do as a knitter that completely come naturally to me. I'm not consciously thinking about certain movements. I can read an instruction and execute it with my hands and not think twice. And that is a reminder that repeat action and muscle memory is very real when it comes to craft. So that's what helps me push through the initial stumbling and awkwardness, is that I have shown myself with other crafts that repetition will gain you some traction in that skill. And I really want that to be the case for hand sewing, especially after yesterday's experience working on this, a small linen rectangle and just doing some simple hemming and basting and backstitch. I mean, this could be used as a snack and mug rug, right? It's still a useful item, even though it's my practice piece. But working on it showed me that for an item of clothing, which is my eventual goal, I could do this. I could fold over some fabric and make some stitches and create some shapes. And so that's the most powerful part of the learning. I could create the seams and the stitches and the folds that I would want in a garment. And our teacher has some great resources on the Sewn Company website. So if any of what I'm saying is of interest to you, I can already recommend that as a starting point. So yeah, the practice will come most likely on more linen because I just really enjoy the feel of the linen. I like the fact that you can fold a crease on the linen. Just pressing it with your finger and the folds stay, and that makes it so much easier to go back and do the stitching. It's a rainy Sunday here. I am a fan of being indoors and cozy when it's raining outside. Rain doesn't allow you to do some of the fun outdoor things, but it sure does create an environment of huddling in and hunkering down. And that's what I think I'm going to do for this Sunday. I want to share with you a finished project. I'm going to go grab it. I know the light is a little more yellow than usual. Like I said, it is rainy, which is great. Spring is coming. I have seeds in the ground. Bring on all the water from the sky, please. So I hope that the colors of my finished sock project will still show up pretty well. I'll insert some video as well so you can see close-ups, but they're done. The purple color is a little bit lighter here than in real life. But you get the idea. Purple main color, pink cuffs and toes, and some gorgeous speckling that comes from the sock blank that I used. If you have interest in this particular project, I have a Ravelry project page about it, and I've talked about these socks in previous episodes because I am working through my works in progress. And thanks to being able to share them with you, I really feel like I'm gaining some momentum, and having a pair of finished socks while it's still cool enough for sock wearing in South Florida is a win, a huge bonus win. And I really enjoyed trying out this blend. There's a good bit of Targhee in here. It's Targhee and Tencel, and they're quite firm, and I was wearing them already a couple days ago, and I really like the way the fabric feels. I think there's a density that comes from the yarn blend itself, but then also the way the sock blank is constructed. It is a pretty firm, it's a firm fabric that's created in the knit sock blank. So the combination of that and my needle size, all the stuff that goes into it, it made such a nice fabric. I really enjoy wearing these. So thank you, virtual friends, for the encouragement that you've provided by way of your comments and your project sharing, because I think it's really given me some mojo for working through the things that are on my needles. Speaking of socks, I washed a bunch of socks the other day. I have a combination in my sock stash of socks that are all natural fibers, mainly all wool. Some that still have a blend of wool and nylon, even though in the last several years I've been knitting more nylon-free sock yarns. I just have a mix in the sock stash of finished pairs, and I decided I was going to wash them. So I'm really interested in this too. How do you guys wash your hand knit socks? I tend to mix it up. There are times when I am wearing a pair and I just keep wearing them over and over. And if you know anything about wool, you know you can wear them for a long time before you have to wash them, because wool is antibacterial and it just repels a lot of stuff. And so you won't end up with stinky feet if you wear them several times. So sometimes if I'm wearing a pair over and over again, I might just hand wash them. Like I literally will take them into the shower with me and wash them with my same soap that I'm using. You know, I tend to use natural soaps that have good essential oils and things in them when I can. So I'll take them in the shower and I'll hand wash them and I'll hang them up and let them dry and I'll start wearing them again. Then I will also machine wash my socks sometimes. And I will say machine wash as in I'll put them in the washer, but I will always hang them up to dry. My husband recently organized a part of our bedroom and he ended up kind of putting away a bunch of old CDs. Remember CDs before all music was streaming? So he had a CD rack and he was able to basically empty it out and give it to me to use. And he said, you can use this for your dyeing process. You know, if you have stuff that you need to put on some shelving for dyeing, you can use it for that, or something in your craft room. And I have plans to do that if I want to kind of have it stationary in the craft room. But when I washed, I think it was 6 pairs or more of socks the other day, I thought, this will make a nice sock drying rack. So I put them all through the washer, and even though some of them were wool, I knew that if I put the cycle on a cool water wash and gentle cycle with some good liquid soap in there, that they would be fine. There was no felting, no shrinkage. I was able to wash them. On the spin cycle, they came out, you know, pretty damp still, and I hung them up on my CD rack turned sock drying rack. And that worked out really well. So how do you wash your hand knit socks? Do you tend to throw them in the machine if they're super wash with some nylon in? Do you tend to hand wash them, or a mix like me? I'm curious, share below. Whenever you share tips like that, I know that folks who read the comments tend to benefit, and I definitely benefit. Jumping back to sewing really quickly, I just realized that I have some video I can share with you of a visit with my mom. My mom's been on the channel before. Several years back, we did a craftcation, and I spent time talking to her about her crafting and what she loves. And she came over the other day because she said, I would really like to do some zippers in a couple of skirts. And my mom is a seamstress. Like, she's been sewing since I can remember, literally. She made a lot of my clothes and my sister's clothes when we were younger. So I think of her as just a next level seamstress. And the fact that she wanted to come over and have me help her with zippers was just very humbling and I was just honored to do it. And she said that it's because, you know, she has sewn larger garments and has done a lot of complicated things, but she wanted to just be a bit more precise with zippers. And I bought her a sewing machine a few years back, and she's still getting used to it. It's much more modern than the one she used to use, so she's still getting used to some of the features and functions. And she wanted to see how I worked with my zipper foot. And because she knows that I do all things through YouTube University and find good tutorials, she thought maybe we could do zippers together. And we did, and it was amazing. And I'm happy I can share that with you. Here's my mama. Doing some fine handwork.
This is fun. This is my hobby.
Yep. I could learn a lot. See, just doing this today now, I'll be one step closer to doing my own garment stuff. We're learning about zipper insertion. And my mama has made this skirt, but in this really gorgeous fabric.
I'm gonna wear it for Black History Month.
Perfect. And we repaired a zipper that had gone off the track.
And it looks perfect. You would not be able to tell that it was repaired.
Yep. Now you're just putting in a bit of a stopper for the bottom, right?
Yes.
With some hand stitching. My beautiful mommy.
To seal it.
You want the thread to be loose so that you can pull the gathers.
Right. And you just pull it up to where it looks even and baste it so it stays, that it doesn't slip outside.
Yeah.
And then when this goes over it,
The band.
the band goes over it, you stitch again on top.
To secure it now
secure it.
gathered. Yeah, that
Yes.
makes a lot of sense. All right, we did it. Zipper install
Yay!
with some top stitching. Looks good.
All right.
So the zipper sewing was a success. We fixed one zipper, which was a thing I had not done before, and it involved pliers and some elbow grease to manipulate the zipper head and get the teeth back in to line. We were able to line everything up and get that zipper working. And then on her latest skirt project in that gorgeous fabric you will have now seen, we inserted a zipper. And the great thing about my mom is that she is one of the most generous people I know. So because she had brought the skirt pattern with her to show me the basis for the skirt that needed the zipper, fitting in the zipper and kind of doing some finishing touches on the waistband were her last steps. And I just love the style of the skirt so much. She left the pattern here with me. I'll show it to you. It's a Simplicity pattern. Let's see, the pattern number R10905, I think that's right. And here's the skirt. The keen-eyed among you will see primary feature that caught my eye, pockets. Skirts and pockets. Yes, yes, yes. It's fairly long silhouette. Well below the knee. Yeah, she's like, you like this pattern? And I said, I love it. And now that I've been able to see your version of it, I love it even more. So she left the pattern here with me. My mama. And I really am compelled to make this because I saw hers, in person. I saw how she was finishing the waistband. She talked me through some of the steps. She opened up the pattern and was helping to explain some of the pattern language to me because that tends to be where I struggle with commercial pattern reading. I'm trying to get better at understanding some of the instructions because it doesn't all click for me right away because I don't have the experience. I mean, I love this look and, Mars's ego is like, and you could hand sew it, because you took a class. And so full length skirt with gathers and a waistband and a zipper. I mean, we're going to hand stitch that immediately. We'll see. Maybe I'll do it on the machine first and kind of get the construction under my belt. I don't know. Maybe I will hand stitch it. Who knows? The point is that having seen an almost finished product and spent that time with my mom, I feel motivated that that's something that could go into my sewing queue. So I'm glad that I could share that with you. If you have projects on the go, I love hearing about them. Anytime I get to visit with you, it is a pleasure. Thank you as always for being here and participating in this conversation with me. And I look forward to seeing you again sometime very soon. I've got to return to a design project deadline. So as you're watching this, send me good thoughts that it will have gone well. Thanks, friends. See you next time. Bye for now.